Hi, my name is Rich. I use the he, him pronouns, and you're watching my YouTube channel where I play amazing tabletop role playing games with friends. This is part of the Intercontinental Group of Awesome, so named because part of the group is across the pond from me here in America. I'm a USican, and we've got some folks from Europe who play with us, and we find a time zone on Sundays that are afternoons for me, evenings for them, and it's wonderful. We play lots of indie, small press, tabletop role playing games. We're currently in the middle of a campaign of Spire, The City Must Fall. And I am so excited because not only is this a fun game, but I don't have to run it. I will now hand it over to Tyler, our loving GM.
Hi there, I'm Tyler, he, him pronouns, and yes, we're playing Spire, which is by Grant Howitt and Christopher Taylor. And as Rich says, we're kind of going through a little campaign. We're running a bit here. We are all our characters are drow who are working for the Ministry, which is a revolutionary kind of cell structure group that is trying to overthrow the horrible, terrible high elves who have come into Spire and taken it from their rightful citizens, the drow, and are, to put it mildly, absolute jerks. But our group has been brought together with revolutionary zeal and have over their history done some work together. We've had a few things that they've done already, but are now kind of on the trail of something pretty awful and nasty. We have a drug that is infesting all of Spire called Drek, which our group has discovered is of demonic distillation. We also have a serial killer called the Swan, which is lurking about, and last time we learned is connected to this in some way. Now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to meet all of our characters. Unfortunately, we are missing one. Our inksmith, Sabine, is not with us, but while we miss them, we will continue on. And I think we got a little hint from Sabine where they might be. So I think I can play with that. So let's introduce our characters, and maybe when you introduce your character, tell a little something that happened last time, because we have Jen returning. So I'm going to start up there and go through the folks here last time, and then we'll finish with you, Jen. Rich, we already know who you are, but why don't you tell us about your character?
Oh my, means I have to remember stuff. Luckily, you queued me up. Hi, I'm Rich. I mentioned myself earlier. I am playing Aramitz. Aramitz uses the he, him pronouns as well. He's a drow who went through the Durance, which is the time where you have to do servitude per the Elfir. And he was a hunter, and that is when he decided to dedicate his life to Limye, the goddess of the moon, and he has, since his Durance concluded, become a Lajan, which is a priest. And as the Lajan, he has opened a tiny little chapel down in far down in the Spire. And Aramitz in last session faced off against a pretty terrible drow and tried to speak respectably with him and realized that wasn't going to work, and then leaned on Zordon. And that did work.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And well, Jan, introduce yourself and tell us about your character.
Hi, my name is Jan. I use him pronouns. I play Zordon. Zordon was a duelist during his Durance. Yeah. Has since become a knight. Knights are, again, not what you expect from knights in other fancy games. They're basically sort of like bouncers for the bars at the Northern Docks. Yes, like during our visits to the drug dealer, we sort of first kicked the bouncer's ass and then convinced or bluffed the drug dealer and his bodyguards that he could totally kick their ass. might not have been true, but you know, he's good at convincing them because you know he was a renowned duelist after all.
Absolutely. And it was quite effective. We'll talk about that in a moment. But Alex, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about your character?
Hi, I'm Alex. I use he, him, and I'm playing Gerald, who also uses he, him. His Durance was as a, well, the cover for his Durance was as the kind of head servant, but he was actually the spy for an Elfir. And seeing the awfulness of Elfir, he has used those skills to, well, for the ministry now. And last session, he was using those skills along with Vizier. We were investigating the kind of poor quality food. We tracked it to like a food farming area. We managed to trick a kind of executive into, like, you know, follow me, sir. You've got somebody wants to talk to you. There's a problem, and then choked them out unconscious and stole their clothes, and then went in and told people to, you know, why aren't you working? Go and find something to do. Be useful, and then stole paperwork. And then snuck out before things could get worse. Or maybe, I'm not sure, because I have to roll some Fallout / a refresh. So.
Well, we'll see how that goes with your Fallout, but let's hear last but certainly not least, Jen, introduce yourself and your character, please.
Oh, hello, I'm Jen. I use the she, her pronouns. I am playing Fonara, who also uses she, her pronouns. She is an Azurite through and through. Her Durance was as a dealer in things, and she is currently a merchant with some space in the blue market. That's right, yeah. Wheeling, dealing, selling goods. She deals largely in imports and spends a lot of time doing short trades and hustles and other things. She's very rumor bound and also has a good level of knowledge on how to get solid deals with home nation sources. Last session, she was 1P and not present, really. So I look forward to catching back up.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And I'm going to give a quick overview. We kind of touched on a little bit of what we did last time. Indeed, Emirates and Zordon went and dealt with Blacks in the Eye, the drug dealer who had been kind of the supplier in Pilgrim's Walk, where our group is based. They tracked him down to his really horrible club called the Abyss, where they saw the absolute worst end of this kind of epidemic of this drug. These people in a terrible state, and talking their way through, and in one case punching their way through to get to him. Zordon managed to intimidate him after he had basically told Aramis that, look, you can take your godliness and get the fuck out. But Zordon pulled off a little bit of the, do you know who I am? And they did. And before they ran in fear, they informed the duo that kill him and there'll just be someone else. Look, I'm just a cog. I'm just a cog on the wheel. Also, that it was coming from up above, and that he was getting his supply from a group of Raven from the Perch, the Raven guilds, the mega Corvids group, and they were called the Early Worms. And I believe you were given a name of Craven for the head of them, who is his supplier, but that this is just his link in the chain, that somewhere there are gnolls in Spire who are doing this demonic work to produce this drug. And also mentioned at that point that anyone who's turned against them, anyone who's dug too deep, has gotten the feather. The swan has come from them and killed them. And the swan is someone we've heard a little bit about as a serial killer going around the Spire, killing folks, opening them up, stealing organs, a truly foul person. Pardon the pun. We also had Gerald and Bizarre go and, like I said, make an infiltration into Consolidated Foodstuffs Incorporated, pulling out really some damning evidence that they have been selling shoddy foodstuffs, basics, down Spire. And Bizarre has pretty much all the information needed to kind of blow the lid off this. But he wanted to go and talk with the Gray Manor first, since this was kind of a, working on a puff piece thing, and they'd already dealt with a little of this. Wanted to go talk with them before putting this all in print. But I will say, Bizarre seemed pretty devoted to the idea of getting this out in the public one way or the other. So that is where we had ended up last time. I want to hit real quick, Alex. Everyone else had a chance for a refresh before we fell into a fallout. Your refresh is show someone they should not have underestimated you, which I think you hit. So we're going to give you a D6 chance to refresh. So roll a D6, and you can take that off of the stress you've suffered, and we'll see here how that falls out.
I got a 6.
Well, I would say that takes care of it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he wasn't paying much attention to me when I jerked him out. Or before then.
And I'm going to I've been going with a little bit of giving these refreshes before we hit Fallout. As we get deeper in, I may start calling for Fallout more immediate on the moment. I think that's how the game wants us to do. But I've wanted us to have our chances to deal with stuff and kind of move through in a more gentle fashion till we get to that point. But we'll start seeing probably that Fallout hitting us a little more coming forward. I'm going to pop to you, Fedara, to ask. Your comrades had gone off to celebrate, and knowing them probably get into trouble. But you have about 4 or 5 more hours between when you were going to meet up with them again in the evening. What are you going to be doing?
That is a good question. Oh, oops. Sorry, I'm like looking at my notes and I put a big old section of notes in the wrong tab.
Uh-oh.
It's okay. It's easy to fix. Copy and paste. Well, I've heard about Gerald and Visar not sorting out, but stealing smoking gun evidence of the bad food problem. Right? I might go beating the mattresses about the early worms.
All righty.
Seems to be about the best thing to blow about 5 hours on.
I think it's very reasonable that you would get a feedback from Sorden and Aramitz as soon as they heard about this. So I think that's reasonable.
Okay.
So with that in mind, how do you think you want to go find out about them? You deal with Raven gangs because they're delivery people.
Right. They're the only way to get stuff off of the whales and into the Spire. And I assume that the whales deliver from quite long distances.
At least a mile, since the one that crashed into Spire and is now, its poor body is rotting in a wall. They are not allowed closer than a mile.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, what's the title of somebody who controls traffic in a port? I can't remember.
Let's see.
Like a harbor master?
Yeah. So I think that I would go to the Blue Market Harbor Master and just ask them which Corvid gangs are performing most reliably right now, and then open up that conversation towards early worms in a subtle fashion.
Okay. I think that's excellent. This will be somebody you definitely know.
For sure.
And probably have a pretty good relationship. I think it's fair to say that, it would be someone, I bet you they're paid by the blue market to do their job. So, in that kind of semi-corruptness of a harbor master who looks out for those who pay him, there's going to be a friendly look towards the merchants. We're just going to call him Styles. And so as you go and head over to his office and walk in to speak to him, Fanara, how nice to see you.
Styles, good afternoon. I brought you a crate of blood oranges that I have going a little spare around my warehouse.
Oh, Fanara, thank you very much. Fresh fruit.
Wouldn't want them going to waste,
Well, you are always one of my favorite of the merchants here. Are you getting everything on time?
Everything's going quite well.
Well, if there's ever any troubles, just come to Old Styles. I'll make sure it's expedited right on through for a good merchant like you.
Well, thank you. It's good to hear. I'm actually pondering for a little future project about doing further Interspire deliveries. Which might require the hiring on of quite a few Mega Corvid Wranglers.
Well, they're sometimes a little hard to deal with. You can never set a solid price on each group. They tend to be group by group, but anyone you have in mind?
Well, nothing in particular. I care more for reliability.
Oh,
than a stable price, Really, the value to the customer of a reliable shipment.
Well, we've always had really good success with the tail feathers and the back spurs. They tend to do well. At least you know what you're going to be paying each time, and that your stuff's not going to be too light.
Right. Well, honestly, this could be quite a lot of stock, but the things are still coming together. Is there anybody I should avoid in particular?
Well, there's a lot of them that are kind of sneaky. Yeah, they'll pick you clean. They'll take a little off the top, or as much as I try and avoid it, some of them will even hijack your stuff and then ask for a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
We try and keep those sorts out, but they're an odd group, and they have a bit of a monopoly. Those folks on Perch.
Right, of course.
I mean, I could make sure to hook you up with somebody straightforward. No one I would recommend would be below board.
Oh, of course, always. I always trust the names that you drop, of course. I suppose I'm just a little nervous about the prospect because of a friend of mine having a bit of a run-in that I have to otherwise keep private with a group called the Early Worms.
Yeah, your friend must have been dealing in something a little shady. I mean, that's all they deal with. Bunch of ruffians.
I'll have to lean on him a little harder than normal to clean up then.
No, I wouldn't mess with them at all. Even for Perch folk, they've got a bad reputation.
Ooh.
And from what I understand, they have a clubhouse on Perch that they call the Nest.
Of course they do.
Dealing drugs, one of the things I've heard. They also deal in contraband brought from outside.
Little knoll puppets.
Why don't you roll me a compel?
Sure.
And commerce.
Okay. So that's 3 dice.
And I don't know if there's anything in particular popping in on here. I might give you said it yourself. You kind of set him up to give you more information there. So I'll let you use that knack.
All right. I can't remember what knacks do.
Extra die.
An extra die. Cool. Hey, I got 2 10s.
Whoa, excellent. He kind of leans in. But I understand they also work for some of the high elves. Something needs sneaking in. They'll fly it up to the top straight from the whale.
Isn't that risky?
It's not only risky, it's sort of illegal. Folks are supposed to check in with contraband, but enough money, enough power, they'll fly directly to one of the higher ups. Only the Elfir have the sort of strength to make people like the Early Worms afraid. So they're not going to skim off them.
No, of course not.
If your friend's been messing with them, it'd be best for him to just pay him off and hope he doesn't have to deal with them anymore. From what I understand, they've been drilling in this nasty drug that's going around. I think it's called Drek. And they ain't getting that off a whale. I can't hear you. That's probably me.
No, that's I had a hardware level mute on my mic, which is nice because it's a lot faster than the software mute. But I pushed the button, but I don't push it enough. No, Fanara's response is, well, no more simple interest loans for that friend.
Yeah, I'd stay away from them. You know, I am scared much. They creep me out.
Hmm.
Somebody high up is paying them a lot of money. They've got friends up there.
Hmm. Well, that tends to translate to having a lot of purchased friends down here. Well, I shall watch my step, Styles, and I hope that you do the same.
Caution is my middle name, Fanara.
Excellent. Well, hopefully I can make this deal work and wiggle forward. And if so, I suppose I'll have tales of triumph to bring to your door.
Well, you've already brought me such a lovely gift. Maybe next time when you got something coming through, let me know, and I can be absent with my little sheet. Just between friends, you know.
Oh, of course. Who knows, of course, what the future might hold. And if you get laid up or busy, you know how best to use your time.
I mean, it ain't like the taxes are being spent down here with us.
You don't need to tell me that.
Take care, Fadar.
You as well. Take my leave.
Excellent.
Maybe a delightful new hat.
I think I want to pop over then to Aramitz and Zordon. First off, just so that I get my continuity together. What message did you send to Fanara to let her know of your discovery? Aramitz probably would have been you, since you'd already had this discussion with her.
I imagine that we have some kind of way to code our messages. I would have sent a runner and generally communicated, we had a run-in with a direct dealer and that it goes all the way up. But it appears to be that this is the lowest branch on a tree that leads up to the swan and the knolls and some demonic drugs. Basically lay out all of our stuff, which is probably more information than I should code into a message. There you go.
All right. And did you also send maybe something about a meetup? I know y'all had talked about.
Yeah, I think would like to meet with you at your earliest convenience. And I don't know if we had made plans for another thing we were going to do.
I don't know if you had. Where do you suggest you meet? Are you heading towards would you suggest the Kraken Bell, since it's kind of home turfish?
Unless Sorden is not interested in that seems fine.
That would be Sorden's suggestion anyway, so.
Yeah, Kraken Bell. We'll be at
All
the
right.
Kraken Bell later. That sounds good.
All right, then. What are the two of you doing? Once you've gotten this information, you kind of set off a quick message. What are the two of you planning to do? Are we going straight to the meeting, or is there some follow-up from this kind of awful meeting with Blacks in the Eye?
Well, I don't want to step on Fanara's toes, so I don't want to investigate the very thing we suggested she look into with her own contacts. So, do I know of anyone who might be able to help us find a like a methadone, like a thing that if people are hooked on Drek, that it could help to wean them off of it. It's demonic, so I don't know how easy or hard that's going to be, but that would definitely be a thing I'd like to at least look into before.
That's an interesting thought. Let's see. I'm just looking through some of your stuff at the moment.
Sure.
What you would need for this is you would need someone who is like an apothecary or someone who deals in that sort of stuff. I don't see one that you have on like an already
No.
guy, but I think that it would be within your capabilities to look for someone. That would be something along the lines of like pursue and academia, probably, or maybe a cult or technology.
They don't have any of those.
Yeah,
So
pursue.
I got pursue. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was looking at the domains. I don't
Oh,
have
yeah.
any of the domains. So yeah. Would Zordon be interested in helping me with this pursuit?
I think Soren is just going like, I'll just wait at the bar.
Nice. All right, then I'm rolling a D10 for trying, right?
Mhm.
And then a D10 for pursue.
That's correct.
And a 9.
Very
nice.
good.
I'll take that as success. Take no stress.
Excellent. I think I'm going to throw back to you then. Who is it that kind of serves as a doctor, pharmacist for the people down here? Is it someone who is legit, or is it someone that's a little under the radar?
I think I'm going to do a combo move here. In that it is, I think it's actually like a doctor. They have a bit of clout and status, and she is Yvette Montreson's mother.
Ooh.
Yeah, there we go.
Very nice.
And yeah, I think it's up to you whether she attends the church or not. I am cool with either way. That sounds fun.
I think the mother does not. I think that she considers herself more a person of science. And there's, especially since there's a lot of the healing arts that are part of the church. There's a little bit of I do things in a more reasonable fashion sort of opinion from her. But at the same time, you know she cares about people. And I'm guessing working down here and being well respected, she's accepted that she's working with the poor. So it's not like she's planning on getting rich.
That makes sense.
You're going to go directly to her? Or you're going to go see Yvette?
I don't know. It's kind of like, would I go to the mother through Yvette? Yeah. I think I will go see Yvette.
Okay.
And freed of Zordon and Zordon's lovely squire, I will head to see Yvette.
Looking over Yvette here, who is Limier?
I thought that
that's
was
our
the goddess.
Yeah, that's our goddess. Never mind. Yes. I was sitting here. Who is this other person? Oh, that's our goddess. So excellent. What does Yvette do for a living? Where would you find her?
Oh man, is she the kind of person that her mother's station affords her something in the arts, or is she someone that works a part-time job as like a server at a Crack and Bell type establishment, but not Crack and Bell, like maybe even enemies with Crack and Bell, which polling the audience being our other players, which sounds more interesting. She's just an artist of some kind who has her own little studio and is totally like incapable of holding that up at this point in her very new career, but so her mother is like bought the studio and all this stuff is, or is she a person that lives at home and has a meagerish job and pursues the arts in her free time?
I suppose that depends on whether you want her to be busy and dealing with people often, or if you want her to be indolent and dealing with people sometimes.
Huh. Interesting. And I now Googled indolent. Dang, that's a tough question.
Me and my SAT words. Sorry.
I love it. No, it's all good. It's good. I learn something every game session, and that's what I learned today. And I will forget by the end of the month, so I can learn it again. I think indolent sounds amusing to me. Like she's just in that malaise post durance, similar to malaise of post secondary schooling, where you haven't figured out what you really want to do with your life, or you figured it out but you haven't achieved enough to really say that it's working out, kind of deal.
Love it. All right then. So going to her studio, and she works in light. That is her medium. I think that does that sound good? We hadn't established what her art is, did we?
No, we haven't. And working in the light sounds fascinating to me.
Yeah, I think that it comes from a bit of, her mother being a scientific person, she having always grown with that. I think that she uses like alchemical light to create light sculptures, and I think that's the medium she works in.
Oh, that's wild. I love it.
And so arriving at her studio, it is in a apartment building that is better than she possibly could afford herself. Mm-hmm. And it is safe. And that is probably the most important thing for when her mother bought, arranged for this place to be set up. Not far off Pilgrim's Walk itself. So somewhere that is well patrolled. And as you knock on the door, she "Oh, Amaretts, it's so good to see you."
Yvette, it is excellent to see you as well.
Please come in. I must show you what I've been working on.
Yes, please. I hope this isn't a bad time.
It's never a bad time for you to come.
You're too kind.
And she brings you in. She has it's got that feeling of an artist's place. So it's a little messy, but at the same time, everything has its sort of place. Mm-hmm. And you could see projects that are being worked on, but she leads you straight through the living space to somewhere she's set up with curtains, very heavy curtains. And as she opens up the curtains and ushers you in, it's pitch black inside of the space, except for this exquisite purple and green swirling sort of light sculpture that's in the middle. I've been calling it the darkness that lurks in the soul of all. But I'm not sure that's a good name or not.
I think it's a striking name.
It is meant to express my angst. I am just a kept bird in a cage, you know.
Sorry that you feel that way. I'm sure your mother has done everything she can to make sure that you are fruitful.
I'm sure she has. But an artist must have some suffering.
You think so?
Well, I mean, not too much suffering. I mean, that would be uncomfortable, but a bit of suffering is important.
It is. I agree. I adore that you're working in light. I could see that as something that the chapel could use.
Well, I must admit, so much of my inspiration has come from you. What? Well, from your teachings. The mother is a light in the darkness. And that's what I want to make, light in the darkness.
That's lovely.
But surely you didn't just come to view my little works. Can I get you some tea or wine?
Some tea would be wonderful. Thank you.
She moves off, not far. You know, she kind of closes the curtains as you come out, and you know it's a very studio type apartment, so it's open. And she moves over to the little hearth where she has a kettle hanging over the fire, and you see her start pulling out a tea ball and making tea for the two. What has brought you here? Though I'm certainly glad to see you.
Well, your company is certainly an enticement. I won't lie.
Oh,
I've found that there is a malady to our part of the Spire, a problem hopefully you have not had to deal with. Have you heard of a drug by the name of Drek?
yes, I had heard of it. Some friends and acquaintances, a few of them have tried it for inspiration.
Please, please, for the love of Limier, stay away from it. It is of demonic origin, I have come to find.
Demonic origin?
Yes. And the hold it takes upon people, I have seen what it does, and it is horrific. Please, please avoid it at all costs.
You needn't. And she reaches over and kind of pats you on the head. You needn't worry. I have no intention of trying anything like that. Mother gave me enough supplements over my youth. I have no interest whatsoever in that sort of thing. Inspiration will only be blurred by that.
True. I'm pleased to hear that that is not a temptation for you.
Absolutely not. One's body is one's instrument. My inspiration has to move through my body and be put out so that I can inspire others. And you see her reach over and put a pretty hefty dollop of some liquor into her tea.
That's fine. I have run into a number of people who are afflicted, and I wondered, hoped, prayed that perhaps your mother might help me find some way to guide those people away from the afflictions, from that addiction.
I don't know. I don't go visit often, and when I do, it's usually, well, our discussions are more along the lines of how I failed her. But she would certainly be interested in stopping any sort of thing that's hurting the people down here, despite being a controlling, overwhelming personality. She does care about people.
And I think Aramis would like put the tea in his little saucer there and give her just like a reassuring side hug. I'm
She'll
sorry.
lean into it.
Yeah. I'm sorry that your mother makes you feel that way. That is not how I see you, nor many people that I know.
Well, I draw strength from you. You never judge me, not like her. Last time I got my allowance, she downright told me I was wasting time.
Well, I think it's a shame what she said. And I will see if perhaps if the chapel can afford one of your paintings. Then we will have a bit of beauty for those who've come to worship, and you will have a testament of, albeit small, but a success.
My goodness, a commission. Oh, I could just rub her face right in that. I mean, it would be for the glory of the goddess.
Yes, exactly.
I suppose if you feel like talking with her, we could go over it. I could tell her that I have this new commission, and maybe you could discuss with her your problem.
I'd like that if you're amenable.
Well, my grocery bill came in today, and I was a little short, so I was planning to go over and see her anyway.
Then this is perfectly timed.
Let me get on something appropriate. And she will move over, and you see her put on a very stylish hat with a broad brim, and she always dresses pretty well, and gets herself ready. She'll reach down and take your hand. Come on, let's go.
Of course.
And we will cut from that. Was that all right for you, Bets?
That was fun.
Actually, if folks don't mind, why don't we take a short break here? All right, we're back. So, Alex, you and our Gerald and Vizar have made this daring raid, and Vizar has said, basically that he feels like he needs to go back to Grey Banner and discuss this information. It's got to get out. I have to tell people.
I trust your judgment on this. Just try and keep our names as much as possible out of this. Or at least, of course, you'll have to
I can be
be
discreet.
credited.
Well, probably, and I really appreciate your help.
I think nothing of it.
You were very impressive.
When they're not expecting it, it's much easier.
Well, I'll see you soon.
Well,
And you split ways as you're making your, the paths down. You've got the pilgrims. And so the Tsar moving off towards Grey Manor as, where are you going? What are you doing?
I think I need to check in on the others to make sure that they've not, I mean, Aramit's he trusted to, keep a rein on the Zorgin for the most part, but they weren't going to very safe areas from what they last said.
So where do you think you would go look for them? You have the option of perhaps going to, there's the Kraken Bell, which at least is, a central place. There is Fanara's Stall, which is a sort of central place. The chapel is a central place. Where would be the first place in your mind to go look?
I would pass by one of our yes, that's very distracting. Hey, Jules. I think I'd pass by our drop point where we leave messages. I would just quickly check in on that.
I think you would see the same message, or where they left a message for Fanara. My guess is that it's the sort of drop spot and working in code and pretty tight things. So you would see they discovered this about the early worm and probably has something in there about meeting at the Kraken Bell this evening.
That's safe. Okay. I think I would I would momentarily think about I'd be thinking about the key, but no, I'm busy. Okay. And I will head to the Kraken Bell.
Well, odd you mentioned that, because as you're moving away from the drop spot, and it's in an out of the way spot. It's somewhere little off an alley, a space that doesn't get a lot of attention. The mage lights are dim here, and as you kind of step back, they seem to dim even a little more. As behind your back, you hear a voice. You have done well. You found my key.
I want to look, but I don't. I kind of move off to the side into one of the areas of darkness. I've got the key, yes.
Now you need to open the door.
What's on the other side of the door?
Something I want. Someone I want.
Do people get hurt?
People get hurt all the time, Cheryl. You know that.
Will my people get hurt?
That depends. Not necessarily.
I've got a meeting. I have to get to the meeting.
That's fine. They're not going anywhere.
I move to leave, but then where is it?
I remember a young Gerald beneath a mansion in a cellar. You were so afraid, weren't you? There's a door there, Gerald. It's something, someone waiting on the other side. Whenever you're ready. And you feel that presence just right at the nape of your neck.
I'm like, I'm trying not to like do a shiver. I'm like really like tense, just counting back from 10.
And then the presence is gone. Gerald, why were you in that cellar?
I believe I was being trained. I mean, what use is a spy that is just blundering around, knocking things over, and I think I was in there for in the dark until I could move in the dark. I don't know how long I was there, though.
Excellent. And you know exactly where it is. All right, so you're heading to the Kraken Bell?
Yes.
All right. So I think you are arriving there first. Is there anything you're doing
Yes.
on the way, or are you just heading in to have a drink?
I think I'm just having a talk with my squire. Like, look, just because I pulled that off doesn't mean that you can pull it off. And
I don't have your reputation yet, Sir Sword.
yet, but still, that was dumb. Because if they called me on that bluff, it would have been bad for us. So don't do that, I guess.
Yet.
No, don't. Just
Well, Sir Swordon, I will reach a point where I am as feared as you. Won't I?
I don't think I'm as feared as you think I am.
Well, I mean, I'm not afraid of you, but others are.
See? It's only people that don't know me that will be scared. Well, that's not true.
Then I will carefully observe when you choose to frighten others.
Why didn't you just... Why did you have to pick me, huh?
You impressed me. You're not nearly as dumb as you look.
Hold on.
It is meant as a compliment, Sir Sword.
Oh, okay, good. I think.
Many of our order look very dumb, and they are. But you are very clever.
I don't know about that.
No, they're pretty dumb.
Oh, okay. I, you're, you know what? You're too smart for this. You're too smart for this job, I think.
Is that meant as an insult?
No, that's a compliment,
Oh, well, thank you.
I guess. That just saying that you have a bad choice in occupation.
It's what I always wished to be.
I didn't.
You didn't?
No.
What did you want to be?
Honestly, I was fine just, doing the fighting, having the parties in between. Dueling was easier. Now it's confusing. Like all the it was very easy if you're working for one person, then it's always just like you have to just be there for that one person. There's way too many politics in the Knights. All the damn orders and the no, I don't care for it.
Well, perhaps you could make them better.
How would I do that?
Well, if you say that it was better to have purpose when you fought, give them purpose.
I take back the thing about what I said about you being smart.
Yes, sir. And she kind of hides a little smile there. You arrive back. The place is, yes, they give you drink. There is a bit of a party going on. It would seem as though they were successful in their raid on the weasels that you had heard about earlier in the day. And in fact have returned back with a very fine cask of ale. And most of them are roaring drunk.
I will definitely have some, and I'll tell Tirza that she should have some too.
Yes, sir. And she will begin drinking, and she can hold her drink. She has at least learned that much about being a knight. Fenara, were you doing anything between meeting with the harbor master and coming to this meeting?
Probably dropping a line with Hattrall and letting him know that I'd like to talk at his earliest convenience.
All righty. He tells you you get word back that he'll be happy to talk with you tomorrow morning.
Cool. And then I trundle on to the inn.
All right. Aramis, I think I'm going to have us do a fairly quick scene with the Dr. Mother. I like
Sounds
Dr.
good.
Mother as a name. But you come and you explain what you're looking for. You see the uncomfortable meeting of mother and daughter. There is this sort of like passive aggression between them. It's a little uncomfortable. There's a clear dynamic here of like Yvette does give a bill that she wants paid from her mother. Her mother clearly cares about her, but thinks she should be doing something more worthwhile. There's underneath it is a little bit of this, I sent you to get this education, but you weren't willing to do it. You want to do this art bit, she says, where I have a commission. I'm going to be putting things into the chapel. There's a little bit of that, into the chapel. And that's where we get the, see, Amaranth is going to tell you. And Father, it's so nice to see you.
Dr. Marchesson, it is a pleasure to see you as well.
You're taking a commission for my daughter, eh?
Yes. I have seen many of the Spire chapels, and they have delightful works of art to help inspire parishioners. And I thought, after seeing the beauty that your daughter has created, that it would be a worthwhile addition, that Limier would smile upon it.
Well, far be it from me to question what the goddess will smile on. I've heard that she takes pity. So it is nice to see that my daughter is creating something worthy of your chapel.
There is another matter, Dr. Montresson, that I would like to discuss with you that has, thankfully, nothing to do with your daughter. It's a malady that has come upon our part of the Spire.
You see her get way more serious and focus in on what you're saying. What sort of malady?
Have you heard of the drug known as Drek?
Yes, I've encountered some who were suffering under its effects. It is a terrible foulness.
It is more than it appears, I'm afraid to say, Dr. Montresson. I have been investigating this problem and have found that it is not simply a drug. It is a drug with demonic origin created by gnolls. You and I, we are practical. I know this. You are a woman of science. I am a man of the cloth, but we also live where we live. And I come to you because I have been able to counsel people who are afflicted with addiction in the past, but the origination of Drek worries me that this will not be a fruitful effort. So I beg of you, is there anything that can be done for these afflicted people? I know some people I could bring to you if that would assist you in understanding what would be needed to help those who've become addicted to this horrendous drug.
Do you mean some sort of antidote for the drug? Some sort of panacea to end its effects?
Something to help them wean themselves off of the addiction, yes. If such a thing even exists, I'm sure that you could find it.
That has been done with other sorts of drugs. It is not a field that I have studied a great deal on, but I'm capable of looking into it, Father.
I will do everything I can to recompense you for your time. I know that you are a busy woman, and you help to keep the health of our part of the Spire And I respect that. I truly do.
I would not need any of your money. I'm sure that your chapel will need it for things. And she sort of motions toward Javette.
Yeah, I was about to get pretty heavily in a hawk there, so I am very thankful of her largesse. I'll
If
say
you
nothing more.
can arrange for some subjects, and those who are afflicted by it,
Yes.
send them to me. And if, as you say, this is a demonic, is it, I had suspicions, is it related to the sulfur?
Yes, it is an after effect in the creation of other things, drugs, parts of demonic worship is what I've come to understand. I'm no expert. I am not a man of science, but I have contacts who are helping me try to.
Well, the problem with this sort of drug is that, as much as I hate to admit it, it will in part require your sort of assistance.
Then perhaps in concert we can work together, science and religion. How inspirational.
Yes, I suppose that would be the case.
And may have smiled upon us both to bring us together to help our people.
Yes, I'm sure. Yes, that's what it is, a smile. Send me subjects. I
Yes,
will
ma'am.
look into this. And once I know more, I will contact you. Perhaps we can, if we can devise something that melds the divine with science, the same as what has melded the demonic with science, that could truly be a revolutionary treatment.
I agree.
Perhaps
you.
it was fortuitous that we met.
Yes.
So I think that would you feel a bit of confidence coming off of that. She certainly took it very seriously.
Rock on. I'm into this.
And as you leave, Yvette goes, "Can you believe that? Just looking down her nose at the goddess like that. Oh, she's just insufferable."
Oh, Yvette, look past the words. Hear what your mother was saying, not just speaking. She saw the value of our worship and her science working together. This could be a pathway to finding a more wholesome relationship with her.
Well, I hadn't really thought of that.
That's quite all right. It was obfuscated and difficult to see. I just don't have the history with your mother that you do.
Well, at least she seemed to be impressed that I had sold an art book.
Indeed, you have. I guess I will be seeing a great deal more of you at the chapel.
That will be nice.
Yes, I agree.
And so I suppose you take her back to her studio.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna head to meet up with the group.
Okay.
If they want to do stuff before I show up, that's totally cool too.
I think I've run through everybody. I think we're meeting up. So she will say goodbye and give you a little kiss on the cheek and tell you that she'll be by the chapel tomorrow because she wants to see where you plan for this installation and come up with the most appropriate sort of spot for it. And she'll go on at a little bit of length to tell you the requirements that'll be made so that her art can properly shine. But
That's good. That's what we want. We want the art to shine.
but you may be feeling a little upbeat as you make it to the Kraken Bell. It is hopping. They are singing and drinking and seem to be in high spirits at the Kraken Bell. And I think as you come walking up, you see Gerald walking up at the same time. Gerald, how do you look as you come strolling up?
I look at touch Ashen in the face. I think I walk right by Aramitz, sit down. I think Zordon is momentarily not touching his drink, and I just pick up his drink and just take a big swig from it and then just put it down.
There's like a... you're getting too much into the spirit of the where the drinks came from.
What was that?
This is ale from the Wizened Weasels, which obviously they stole from someone else. So now you're stealing the ale from me, which we stole from, well, not I wasn't there, but we, like, gingerly gesture towards the bar and like, we stole it from the Wizened Weasels. Well, we reclaimed it from the Wizened Weasels, and now you're stealing it from me?
That is
Getting too much into the spirit of things, but I like it. But no more.
It is excellent ale because the weasels have a very, very highfalutin tooth. So, it was first rate. And Aramin says you're kind of moving up to the table. Fenara, I think you're coming in right behind. So you see, again, high spirits here at the Kraken Bell. And every once in a while, you'll see one of them, one of the order go, ha ha, screw the weasels. And they'll scream, yeah, screw the weasels. And somebody will go, dong on the bell.
So, sounds like a day of victory here at the Kraken.
Yes. We have some Weasels Ale, previously owned by others, which we cannot retrace those steps, sadly. So we will not be able to return it.
Oh no!
I know, it's a crying shame. Cheers.
Well, can't let it go to waste. Pour me a cup.
Got a picture like.
Prepared for the whole night. Excellent.
Thorza will come over with a mug and Aramit's victory for the House of Kraken Bell. Would you care for a sip?
From you, of course. And he'll reach up and do the thing of the hands touch before he takes, and he'll lean in and take a sip.
She will set the mug down between the two of you as you all sit at a table.
Gerald, you look might peaked.
I'm fine. Aramitz, you
That's what I say in the morning after a party like this. I'm fine.
No. So you didn't lead Aramitz astray?
Me.
You seem both of you are in one piece.
Yeah. I mean, they ran like little girls, so.
I wouldn't be in one piece if it weren't for Zordon's mighty sword and brave heart.
No, it was.
But we're well.
I didn't have to bring out the sword. Otherwise, we might have been in a lot more trouble.
Just the threat of your sword, I think, was enough to bring us victory. That and the protection of Limier.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even outnumbered, anyone up against you is having to make some really deep risk-reward calculations in their head. And most people are pretty bad at math.
I mean, I've only won one duel where it was 2 against 1. Which is, that is weird. Like, why do they still call it a duel then?
Yeah, it's more like a triple, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
A truel?
Ooh, yeah, that doesn't sound good.
It doesn't, no.
No, it doesn't roll off the tongue.
See, now we understand why it's called a duel still, then.
Mhm.
Right? 'Cause, yeah.
Or maybe they have to say triple duel, but that also doesn't make sense.
It sounds
Yeah.
terrible. It
Yeah.
all sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Geralt is pouring his second drink.
Well, I haven't had the most productive day, sadly, but I hope to have a bit more shining along with the sun tomorrow.
But did you make a profit?
Oh, every time.
Okay.
Ooh.
Never worry for my dealings. I know
Well-
which number is higher than the other. Every time.
So Fonara's doing good. I know Aramis is doing good. But Gerald,
I mean, I choked somebody out, but I wish I did it.
What?
In
I
like
wish I did it in a different order.
Oh dear.
Anyway,
I assume you're not talking about foreplay.
no.
Too bad.
For,
Has Gerald ever
I'll tell you more,
spoken about
Brent.
foreplay?
No,
No.
as a matter of fact, and I like elbow him a little bit sportingly.
I think it breaks through his grumpiness at the moment.
He's silent about his conquests.
do foreplay.
To silent conquests.
Silent conquest.
Speaking of which, I did have a little bit of time today to talk with the harbor master about some of the things that you informed me of earlier, Aramis and Sorton.
Oh.
At least
The
I assume that.
distribution. You have a lead on distribution.
There was a reason why we're meeting, just other than just for drinks.
We like the drinks, but that's not the reason. No, I'm not sure I'd call it a lead on the distribution, but more a confirmation of the facts. The early worms have a bad reputation, even among the Corvid Wranglers. But it does seem like we have it on very good word that early worms will sneak in contraband straight from the whale to the top of Spire.
But so we're looking into Skydog's territory then.
Probably. However, I don't want to jump into that very quickly. I'll explain why later. But it's highly illegal to deliver goods from a whale without checking in first. You have to provide a manifest. You have to go through so that taxes can be collected and so that the city government can know what material is coming in and out.
I'm
So
familiar
powerful.
with the taxes. We do that. We do that at the river here. Yeah.
Of course, except when you find untraceable ale in a lucky spat.
Screw the weasels! Screw the weasels! Clang!
Like so. Also, I've heard that the early worms have a clubhouse in the perch that they call the Nest, because of course they do, where they deal in drugs and, I suppose, entertain themselves to whatever degree.
If they're getting away with this, they must have friends
They are
or
clearly
leverage.
deeply in pay from the Alfir. They are receiving, I am sure, a lot of money to move these goods. So they have a lot of power from above Spire, and they can purchase a lot of power here. And of course, we've heard that anyone who gets close to what's going on gets a visit from the Swan. So I'm trying to be a little bit careful about who I talk to and how much, and in what context. Tomorrow morning, I get to talk with my friend Hatrel and ask him if he's seen or heard anything particularly interesting. Movement of equipment up Spire that he knows is of a particularly illicit nature. Anything Knoll related. It seems very likely that they aren't getting this Drek delivered from Wales. Maybe the raw material for it that is then getting delivered mid-Spire, and then the finished goods delivered up Spire. Or some distillation thereof. Drek could be a secondary byproduct of another process. So that's worth asking Hatrel about. There could be a primary drug that's being used amongst the Elfir, and then we get the Drek.
Okay.
Armoritz. Aramitz. I know I'm a terrible GM.
Just bad with names. It's fine.
You're just bad with that one name. It's all good.
Just terrible with that
Two
one
names. Two names. You're bad with two names.
name. As Fenara says that about, a byproduct, it does remind you for a moment of what you clicked onto hearing the process these people on Drek and what they were doing.
Right.
The Eidolons.
Yeah. There was mention of that in particular, Fenara, about the Eidolons. It seems that this wouldn't exist if it were not for it being a byproduct of some other activity, this Drek.
Right.
And so GM, what's the context of Eidolons again? I'm sorry.
Eidolons are a thing, a person, a location that is empowered to do a demonic working.
Okay.
Like the Kraken Bell or the Sundered Bell or like the.
It is something that, when empowered, does a greater magical effect, powered by the demonic. It is in a weird, in that kind of weird demonic mechanism sort of concept. Eidolons can be put together to make bigger and more dangerous things.
Or the Summoner Kraken.
Okay.
Oh my.
Yes. So this could be the tip of the iceberg.
Oh my. All right. I'll keep that in mind. Unfortunately, although I have some high-class connections, I don't really have any deep ties with Upspire trade.
I may be able to put some feelers out up there.
Once we have a closer idea of who to talk to, I can get a meeting with just about any legitimate Upspire trader. But it's not something I can get for free. And it's not something that I want to cast a careless line towards.
Maybe I can narrow the field with some
That
subtle
would be-
questions.
Hmm.
Nothing that will attract too much attention.
I'm more than willing to spend on this, but I don't want to do so carelessly.
That would help get answers if I could.
I'm afraid
Back
I
it up.
know some bars around the area, but I think the closest one I know is probably around the Corps of Flight SW 1098.
Hmm.
Mhm.
All right, well. Tug on the feathers you're grasping.
I'll head up Spire.
All right.
Hermits, I was hoping to have a word with you.
You may have several. No, kind of indicate like, hey, let's walk over here. We'll talk together.
I think once I feel comfortable that we're out of earshot of the rest or anyone. I have a mask maker. They make my masks.
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes need considerable amount. It helps in the trade. He was mentioning a masked god. I was wondering if this is something you've heard of. I must admit it piqued my interest.
Rich, why don't we have you make a roll?
Yeah, that seems rollish.
Let's see.
I don't know what skill that would fall under.
Considering it's the mascot,
Oh,
I think sneak.
wow. I actually have that. Yay.
And maybe it's religion domain and you have that too?
Oh my goodness, guys. I'm not going to say it might not suck.
Ding,
but
ding,
it's
ding.
the feeling that I have.
Are you helping,
And
Alex?
I think I could help. I could be like, I hope that, from, you mentioned, and then I would say a few details that I've gleaned
Mm-hmm.
from my interactions, as if it was just like, here's some hearsay and legend.
Nice. I'm hitting it.
Parables.
4 die. And a 9 come out of one of those. Oh,
Very good.
yeah, I'll take it.
You have heard of the mascot. Mascot is fairly recently discovered. Only in the last 100 years or so. Drow, having been forced to wear face masks and serve under the Alfir, the faithful have been visited by the mascot. The mascot supposedly will come in dreams or appear in mirrors, in shadows. They'll whisper, guiding their followers. Actors, liars, revolutionaries, and spies are generally those that follow the mascot. They have no temples that you know of, though you've heard rumors that they will set up meeting spaces beneath other houses of worship. They the mascot is said to have no true form, being the masked. He is devoted, or they are devoted, as there's no true form. No one knows precisely what the mascot is. But that they are drow, that they answered the call of desperation here in the Spire.
Huh. Does Limier look favorably upon this god?
I think with the results you rolled, yes. In that she sees anyone who would cast off those who are oppressing her children as an ally. In another time, maybe not. But today, most certainly.
Yes, I know of the masked god.
Really? It's I hadn't heard of it before.
That's to be expected. Although, if any lay person were to know, I would have expected you. Why do you ask?
I was intrigued. We have work to be doing.
You seemed troubled earlier, Gerald. The masked god is a drow god. It seeks our freedom. They may smile upon him, or her, or them.
Hermits, I'm always glad that you can enlighten us.
Is there anything more I can do for you?
No, I'm fine. We really should, touching something in my pocket, we really should, I have work to do.
We all have work to do. But if you want to talk again, I'm always available for you.
Of course.
As the two of them have moved off, Finara, Sorden, and of course, Thor's is there as well. But Sorden, are you the sort who keeps an eye on the door all the time? Or when you're here in home, are you one who relaxes?
Like it's not an all the time thing. It's just every now and then, like, huh? What? Huh?
How about you, Finara?
Finara's a pretty cautious person, actually. Confident, mean, but she does keep an eye on doors.
All right. Then I think it's you, Finara, that sees two young drow men come sliding into the Kraken Bell. The knight at the door kind of, looks to block them as they first come in, and one of them, just almost like magic, a coin comes up and is handed to him, along with, looks to be a small piece of paper. And the knight sort of gives a little nod and steps back. As you see these two look across the room, their eyes light on Sorden.
And I'll elbow Sorden as subtly as I can, or maybe kick him under the table.
What?
At the door, a couple of friends.
And Finara, you recognize them. This is Petor and Yosef, the sons of Anastasia Gris, one of the most powerful crime lords of New Heaven. and they begin moving towards your table.
Lean back,
Are they your friends?
lounge up. They're nobody's friends.
They move over and Sir Sorden, Fanara,
Good evening.
may we take a seat for a moment?
Well, just for a moment, because our friends are coming back. So
This shouldn't take long. The one talking to you is slight. He has a very darting eye. Fanara, you know that's Peter. Yosef is larger and quiet. You know that he's the bruiser, but you know Peter's the real dangerous one.
Ale, lads?
Thank you.
It's quite tasty.
Emotions. And his brother takes a sip as he does not. Fanara, I believe you know our mother?
Of course, is she well?
She does quite well, thank you.
Very good.
Sorden,
hi.
I don't think we've had the opportunity to meet before.
I don't think we have.
I am Peter Gris. My mother has interests higher up Spire. But you today and your friend, and he kind of casts his eyes over towards where Aramitz is. We heard that you set to flight someone we're not very fond of. And we came to congratulate you and thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Our mother has been very disturbed by this garbage that has been slung across not only the streets down here, but in our own neighborhoods.
You mean Drek? If we're talking about Drek, just say Drek. Like,
We mean Drek.
Sorden is only an artist with a weapon, but he'll get your meaning.
We are very happy to see anyone who sells this Drek be given difficulties, and you gave difficulties today.
yes. How did you know?
My mother knows many things.
I'll explain later.
We wanted to show our appreciation. He reaches inside of his cloak, brings out a small bag, drops it on the table. It clinks. And perhaps inquire if you would like to cause even more trouble for these people selling this shit Drek.
We do have plans to create further trouble.
Yes. I mean, no, we will gladly do that for you.
Good. If you do, Mother will owe you a favor, and Mother's favors are very valuable.
There's like a very short, inquisitive look towards Fanara, like, like, yeah. Mm-hmm. He definitely doesn't show it much, but
Like-
there's definitely.
Sorten may or may not feel it, but like Fanara's ankle and heel have found a spot like just above his toes.
Yes.
We've heard that the reason so much of it is flooding your area down here is that a group in the perch is moving it.
I can
But
confirm that, yes.
you can.
I've heard from other sources that this is likely the case. I have not clapped eyes on the truth, but my sources are reliable.
If you have intentions to go to the perch, go to this source, Mother's connections are not insubstantial there. We can get you there quietly.
That is absolutely an advantage we would like to take part in.
Yeah.
We aren't ready to move on the perch yet, but the time is closing in.
You will find there is a young man who will be outside of the Cracked Bell most days. His name is Snot.
Wonderful name.
Inform him when you are ready, and we can make arrangements to get you to perch quietly. Cause as much problems there and let Mother know what you discover, and perhaps we can continue a very fruitful relationship.
Perhaps.
Are we talking lower, middle, upper?
A little bit of everything.
Oh, all of them. Okay.
That is an interesting discussion that I feel we should table until future.
Then I think that it has been lovely we've met, and I don't wish to take up any more of your time. Be in touch with us.
Of course. Have a good evening. Send your mother my regards.
I shall. And he just slides up out of the chair while his brother kind of scoots his back. And they make their way out. A quick primer to you, Fanara. Anastasia Gris is an enormously powerful crime lord who deals in, let's see, she deals in dagger and she deals in one of the other drugs. Dagger and Malik. Both drugs, illegal, but certainly not demonic.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, once those two are truly out of the inn, I actually take a look around me first to see if we have eyes on us from a previous infiltration, and then go, well,
So who's their mom?
you were truly two mice under the gaze of an owl. That is Petor Gris, son of Anastasia Gris, and his not particularly consequential, but painful to be enemies with brother Yosef. Anastasia deals in dagger and malak.
Ah.
And she's very established.
I sit myself down while listening to this.
Y'all
So-
chat, I can hear you. I'll be right back.
I don't like this. I don't like this one bit. This is getting more and more dangerous.
Why is that?
I don't entirely agree with your take on this, Gerald, and here's why. This drug is already being pushed from as far up on high and likely Elfier hands as possible. At least an opportunity has been presented to us where we can work with other drow. Yes, the things that this woman deals in are unpleasant, but so are
Alex, more
our
or
lives.
less nothing. I would say that Malak is in fact a little safer than this, and I slosh around the ale. But the dagger, you know, either way, Anastasia is a dangerous person. I am glad that she approves of what we're doing, and I am 100% going to accept her offer of being transported to Perch quietly. That is an advantage that we can ill afford to reject. I say that we should probably play it carefully when it comes to opening up a longer term relationship with her. Entanglements with families of her nature can be risky, profitable, risky. We have enough of our own risks. So, no hard feelings between me and her. Happy to push out this terrible competition of hers because, frankly, we will be doing her a great financial service by removing Drek from the market equation.
Which also provides a service to the general population.
Exactly. And those benefits far outweigh any qualms we might have about benefiting her. So,
I mean,
Here.
hey, Aramit's here, and then like dumps out the bag of coins and goes like, sort of halves it and goes like, here, this is, I guess, yours.
Bless you both. I am sure that we will find. Oh, yes, this will go far in paying for some new art for the chapel.
I mean, be aware of the fact that it's pay from, well, from drug people. If you don't mind, then
I've learned the skill of being malleable. It is a medium of exchange. Thank you very much.
Because this is our pay for what we did with.
Well, you did most of the work, my friend. If you think that I deserve half, we'll put it to good use.
If you want to give me some of that back, you're welcome to.
Benara, one of the things you do know about Anastasia, though you don't know her face. You've primarily seen the sons, but you know her probably because she's purchased things you've gotten from the home nation. She seems to have a weird fascination for that. And the rumor is that she was born in the home nations. She is quite old. So that would have been some time ago. The other piece of information you have is that she has her finger in a lot of pies. Perch is certainly a place that she would have some power. She's not throwing you something that, she can't deliver.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing is she despises firearms, guns in particular, hates them. And those that offend her or bother her, rather famously, her first punishment to them is making sure they can't pull triggers anymore. She takes a finger.
Certainly very happy that I didn't take the option of a gun and a sword.
Woof.
Mm.
Yep. So yeah, I will at least relate the part that Anastasia can make good on her promise of getting us into Perch safely and quietly. Oh, that book gets mostly zoom backgrounded out, but I
Yeah.
see a playing card.
Oh.
Hey. Whoa.
Nice.
Nice. But yeah. Anyhow, I want just a little bit more to go on than go to the Perch, knock things over until I guess you have to kill all of the early worms.
Mm.
Doesn't seem to have a good end game.
It did seem like at least the boys were a little surprised that you were so far along the trail there.
Well, I'm smart, so I'm used to it.
All right, we have, I don't want to interrupt us having our meeting here. I want to bring up a couple of things that might be up for discussion. And one thing you've noticed as the night has gotten later. Lazar still hasn't shown up. And a point of questioning is there had been some talk of, once we learn a little more, going to the ministry. So as a bit of a hit on, do we want to discuss that or not? But otherwise, continue discussing, or we can move out of scene if we think we've discussed enough.
I think Gerald has been worrying if that, with these new dangers and complications, that maybe. Actually, yeah, Gerald looks around like, I think we should bring this forward to the ministry.
Well, if we're going to Purge anyway, we're not very far from the repugnant mass anymore, so...
I just feel this may be stepping on many ministry toes unintentionally.
Well, that's
Wait,
And I don't want to.
worth asking.
wait, are you saying that you think there might be ministry involved with this with the drag, or
Not
They
with
may-
Drake.
Yeah, they may be involved with somewhere up and down the line.
fair.
Well, we don't want to get into the way of other ministry cells that might be working this problem. So I agree. We should bring up what we've noticed. I do not believe that we should talk about Perch and the early worms. And we should not talk about Anastasia Gris.
Really?
Well, let's say that we go to the ministry and we say, we are working on this drug-related problem, and we would like to try and get Drek out of this portion of the city, but we want you to be appraised because this is a large situation, broad, touches a lot of areas of the city. And they say, stop what you are doing, go on with your day. What do we do?
We do not like that.
We do not like that. And if we have given them the knowledge that we have and our next steps, then they are capable of auditing what we do next and preventing it.
Right.
They will be able to point from the conversation we have with them to anything that happens in Perch and go, aha, they didn't do what we told them.
We avoid them telling us.
So we
If we-
try to keep them out of a situation where they must be informed that we have disobeyed.
If we don't get commands we can't to disobey, we can't disobey them.
Correct.
Hmm.
Now, if they're already appraised of Perch and we say we're looking into these drugs and they say don't go to Perch, we're in a bit of a bind there anyhow. But there's still some plausible deniability. So it's possible that they could be like, wonderful, lovely, you'll be working with this other cell, or wonderful, lovely, if you're going here, do this. They may say, noted, thanks. We'll have another mission for you in a week.
Okay, so shall we go then?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
Yes.
So your intent is to give a message that you wish to meet.
Hmm.
All right. You head out, leaving a drop. Are you all like sticking together, waiting to see if you're called? Or are you all splitting out and expecting the call later? What are we thinking?
I think Jordan will keep with everyone else unless there's a split up. Then he'll decide who to stick with. But
I think if anyone brings up the idea of splitting off and doing things, I would remind them of the swan,
Okay.
and that we've been tugging on some threads. I think for the moment,
Yeah,
we
okay.
should not do things
So-
alone.
Just since there's potentiality of a little bit of time passing and I'm looking at where we are in the session,
Right.
I know it's not super beneficial, but it would benefit Fanara because I see she still has 1 stress in blood and armor. I could, Eremits would be more than happy to create a place of stillness and healing and lead everyone in a recuperation session while I hold visual, which would allow all allies present to restore 3 stress from mind or blood. But no one has mind stress, and yeah, so it's an offer. If that could be a thing we do in the downtime, I would happily do it. But if
Do we set up a little watch on our drop
yeah,
spot? So
That seems fine. Yeah.
I don't think
Okay.
it has to be like super presentational. It doesn't have to be in the chapel or anything in my mind. So
Okay.
I would be happy to do that for everyone.
All right. So you leave at the drop and kind of move away somewhere quiet. You set this up. You begin the ritual. Fanara, I believe that will go ahead and heal your stress. And despite not seeing anyone come to the drop, I mean, are y'all keeping it in view? That would be, that's a little unusual. The idea of a drop is that you don't sit there and watch it.
I mean, I think it's set up so you'd have, if you wanted to watch it, you would be very visible.
Right.
We're probably around a corner or something. We're engaged in a bit of street theater as far as that's concerned.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I think a few hours after the drop, as the ritual is going on and you're kind of relaxing in maybe like you found a little courtyard between some buildings, somewhere quiet. Mist begins dropping from the edges of the building, rising up from the ground, almost in tendrils that begin interconnecting. And stepping out through them, you see your minister. Hello. You wish to speak with me?
oh, hello.
Good evening, Minister. We do.
You have certain threads that have been intriguing us.
I've heard that you've all been very busy.
Yes, this flood of Drek into our portion of the city has us very concerned.
It has the entirety of the ministry concerned.
Are there any operations going ahead?
There are, but the strength of the ministry is when we bring together information and our strength in ways that support each other.
Agreed.
Do
We
you
didn't
have any
want to step
information?
on any toes when we moved forward.
Mm.
In fact, if you had any information that we could receive.
I have spoken with my colleague who has been assigned to this problem. He has agreed to meet with you.
Really?
Yes. It is highly unusual to have a cell meet another minister, but you have proven yourself time and again. And it has been agreed that you will have this opportunity.
Understood. At what time would he like to meet?
She reaches inside of her cloak and brings out a parchment. Here is an address. If you go there now, he will be waiting.
How far away is the address?
As you look down, it is not terribly far, but it is a level lower.
Lower.
Yeah.
So we're getting to Derelictus then. Or are we low? I mean, lower from the ministry.
Oops, I'm sorry, I was muted. Yes, it's Derelictus. You're just going one down. As you look, let's see where. There we are. It is.
Caution, fear, and anxiety are advised.
You are to meet him at the Fly and Amber.
Right. I know the place.
He will be waiting for you there. He will assess what you know and see if you can support his own cell or cells in their work. I spoke very highly of your capabilities. I'm sure you will not disappoint me.
Of course not.
Nope.
Cheryl, where is Vizamar?
He's momentarily occupied with the Grey Manor.
Have anything to do with your little visit to the gardens?
Well, yes. I don't believe treating our food supply as a gutter for the Elfir is something that can be allowed.
I have
Bizarre
nothing.
is going to shed a little light on the matter.
I do not see any problems with that as long as it does not endanger your covers.
He's known to investigate such things in his career. Our names will be back up there.
I trust that they will. I wish to hear whatever Minister Gulag tells you.
Of course.
Understood.
Be careful, my children. And as she says that, she steps back and the mist sort of parts, and you're there in the courtyard alone.
Never gets old.
Doesn't it?
No,
Hmm.
I like
Well-
it every time. Well then, great success. Let's carry on to this
Yes.
fly and amber. Sounds safe.
Fantastic. Further complications.
You head down to a descending ramp. Derelictus is certainly not unknown to any of you. We're not getting so deep into Spire, it becomes, there are places you go far enough that I imagine none of you have gone. Derelictus is...
There seem to be a lot of question marks around the heart.
Oh, yes. But Derelictus is slummish, but still a part of Spire. There's still patrols. There is still some protections. Just a lot less than where you're used to. And as you make your way through, it is dark. There are less lights here. And the squalor is a bit greater. But it is people living their lives and doing their work all the same. You are, however, traveling pretty late. This, was evening. And so as you near the Flying Amber, which is an enormous pillar of amber color, inside of which is a massive fly, larger than any of the megacorvids. The mage lights that surround it sort of reflect off of it into this orangey glow. And beneath it, there is a kind of like a forum. There's arches. It sits upon a platform, and underneath is enough room to go into. And there's often a market there. This late at night, it is dark. And in fact, because the lights are above, underneath it is nearly pitch black. As you move toward it, streets are very quiet. The people you'd seen moving about until you'd reached this southern part have all disappeared. People of Derelictus have almost an instinct to avoid trouble.
Can I move away from the group to try and move the edges of the shadows?
You can't.
Maybe try and move ahead a little bit.
You
Look it out.
do.
I can give Finara a little nod as I step up my pace and move up the side.
Yes, the people of Derelictus, much like wildlife is said to be outside of Spire, know how to avoid danger and predators. As you come to the arch and look underneath, you can see, you've always been able to see well in the dark. What mask are you wearing, Gerald? Are you wearing a mask?
Yes. I switched to a more common, simple mask when changing district.
Do you have any light source with you?
No.
As you come in underneath the archway, it is near pitch blackness. There's the bit of light that comes into the archways, but it quickly disappears. And that's why it's probably so easy to see the pinpricks of light that are shining in a corner underneath here. White, 6 white lights, feathers, white feathers. Their pale light shining on the face of an older man, drow. The feathers stuck through his head as he is bound up against the wall, his chest having been cut open, it's splayed out, his heart missing.
Shit.
Written on the wall in his blood behind him, shining past that halo of feathers. It says, "And no minister shall ever speak a word to me." And that's where we're going to end our session.
Sprung in.
Well, I hope that was fun. Let's try and do a little stars and wishes here. Had Sabine been here, I think we would have probably gotten an advance, because I believe that we'll spill out the tea on her having figured out the stuff on the Bad Company Consolidated Incorporated. So everyone can start looking. That's going to be a tremendous move. So provided, and she's made the statement, she plans to run that story. That's going to be a medium advance. So y'all could start looking for one of those. That's a really big deal. But let's hit a little stars and wishes going around. Jen, little stars and wishes.
Well, all right. Stars. More good NPC work from you this session, Tyler. Liked it. I enjoyed what's his name? Styles. Little Styles. Once again, I enjoy getting to know more about the city and our place in it, and the different levers that get operated by different parties. It feels very alive. Liked the enemy of my enemy sort of thing, or the dangerous, the mob likes what we just did. That's better than them not liking what we just did and being in our faces here. Cool. So that was fun. As usual, I enjoyed the discussions that Sorden has with Thurza. Is that sort of Socratic teacher? What is the right way to kick an ass? Sometimes the best way is not to kick an ass. Sort of dialogues. Very fun. I enjoyed the complicated fear that Gerald is having with his explorations with the masked god. That's been real interesting, real chewy. I liked Aramitz's very gentle humoring of Yvette. um, that was fun. Good times. And yeah, no, I enjoyed this game. Good session. Glad to be back on the pony
Awesome.
doing the
Thank you
game.
very much.
Yeah.
Jan, any stars?
Well, Jen already nabbed a bunch of them, but I will just go like, that was a strong ending. Very, very, very much appreciate the like, yeah, you're part of a secret organization, and someone just fucked over your secret organization. Hi. So yes, that was definitely a very strong ending. I liked everyone's character work again as usual, and mostly just copying things that Jen already said. So yes.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Jan. Rich, any stars?
I've really enjoyed Gerald's cautious reaching out for help and then denying it when it got to anything that would force Gerald to reveal anything about himself. I hope that that's like a 1-2 thing, that like things will escalate and then, hey, that thing that I didn't talk about with you, it's not gone, or it's still a problem. I like that. I thought that was a really neat, laying some groundwork for that. Fanara's scene with Styles was fun. Fanara has such a clever way about her, and it's always fun to watch Jen manipulate that character around. And I know that it's been said, and then Jan also agreed, so I'll be the third. So I'm thirding the enemy of my enemy stuff, which I'm not sure if it came across because Aramis was relatively quiet, but Aramis thinks this is perfectly fine. And Aramis is incredibly progressive when it comes to drug use. Not that he doesn't really choose to do it himself per se, but he understands it's a hard life. And as long as it doesn't own you, recreational use doesn't bother him in the least, really, at all. So, somebody has to profit from it. So he's not on the hate train for our new potential benefactor or, terrible person. We'll see. It's good. And the great ending. Those are all my stars.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Alex, any stars?
Being the last person makes it very difficult. The 1-2 punch of the introducing this like drug lord, and also the ending of just this sinking feeling of the last half of the session was just like, oh, this is getting bad. This is getting complicated. This is getting worse. Oh dear. Yeah, I love that. I liked finally laying some seeds, some groundwork for kind of like a Aramis relationship. Don't think I've really had much of that in the previous session, so really enjoyed that. And also fun to kind of put him potentially into the masked god stuff as the our religious character. That would be interesting. I know everyone mentioned the Styles thing, but I think I really like the Joseph and something and Fanara kind of.
Hated, yeah.
Yeah.
Hated.
Hader and Joseph. Yep.
Yeah, because I found that a little bit more juicier. The kind of the having it felt a little bit more like Fanara, while still having that horror of just being able to handle her shit. It felt more precarious, which I really enjoyed. I liked how Jen played that as well. It felt like keeping a hold of the situation, but also it felt like she knew the danger that she was in at the moment. And as always, I love. I really just was enjoying the Thurza and Zordin dynamic. It's always fun.
Awesome. Thank you. I want to say I loved seeing you all. Oh, did I interrupt you? I'm sorry, Alex. Did you have more?
Well, I was going to just mention that, of course, and because of you are the other part of the, you are the Thurza, you are the Yosef, and what's his name? So, and the Styles. So,
Thank you.
That as well.
I loved seeing you all together talking. I love hearing y'all talk. That's why I'm so happy to mute and just let y'all go. Y'all really just embody these characters so well, and there's a neat dynamic to it. I love seeing Fanara kind of taking control of a conversation. Sorden's very, direct sort of inputs. Aramitz, who has this, kind of higher ideal that comes into a story, and Gerald's concern for the group as a whole. There is such a neat way that dynamic works, and I'm just so happy to sit back and let y'all talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. That just fills me with such joy. We want to say something else?
Yeah, I was going to say late start because I just remembered. I really liked the just that kind of little the idea of like that you like tied that dark room cellar thing. I really enjoyed that kind of red that you laid out. And
cool. I'm glad that worked.
And like, I was like, oh, I felt a bit on the spot for like, okay, why is it connected to me? Okay, no, but I definitely appreciate it.
And I want to thank you for leaning into it. I thought it was cool. I knew I have a habit of throwing things at people, and I know that can put people on the spot, but I wanted it to be real for why it was scary, and you came up with something fantastic. It was so good. I agree with what Alex said. I thought Fanara with the brothers was great. You leaned into their dangerousness. You gave it the weight it was supposed to have. I have such trust with y'all as players because, there's some folks that would be, screw you, be awful and nasty. I know we're all going to treat situations like good role players with the depth of character they're supposed to have.
You said crime lord, and I was like, I'm in danger.
And so it's great to see wonderful role players go at something in a way that makes good story. So that was wonderful. Rich, I loved meeting Yvette. I hope you like the portrayal. I want to make sure she gets more depth, but I wanted to start her off pretty shallow.
Yeah. I'm good with it. It was like, whoa. Like, oh my God, I feel terrible that I had in the backstory that they were intimate. Like, wow, she's terrible. Wait, okay. It's recoverable. It's okay. It's okay. Wow.
I hope that her portrayal works. And like I say, I want to make her a deeper person, but I wanted to start her off in a place that we had depth to go to.
Yep. She's got room to grow.
I thought again, I like Thorza and Sorden all the time. I love their interactions. I just think it's so fun because Jan, you make such an interesting mentor, and it's so fun to see how much you care about her and the advice you're giving. I love playing off of it.
He doesn't want to be, but then has to.
I was so delighted with everybody today. I just thought it was wonderful. let's go back around and hear some wishes. Alex, you get to start off. What would you like to wish on? You're muted, my love.
Thank you. I want the mascot to continue being a ambiguous, turning up at the worst, best moment. You know, either completely only to my senses or awkwardly to other people's senses. Yeah, I want to continue wrapping Aramitz in with that problem as well. I want to continue to be oblivious, or is he, to Vizier next session. Maybe I'm very happy to develop that into something more real, more solid. Yeah, and I want to see a little bit more of some high elf stuff. I'd like to see.
Awesome. I think we can do that. I think we have room for that. And I do want an opportunity for us to discuss somewhere down here what the mask is going to mean to you, if you want to be a devotee or not. But I want to give you the opportunity to play into it for a while before we look at that. Aramitz, Rich, wishes.
I think I definitely want to bring Vizarian like as soon as possible. Like, we just had this huge thing dropped on us, and I don't want the 4, I'm the fourth, Rich. 4 of us to continue on to that scene and keep going, and Sabine not worked in. So that's a wish, is that we can somehow work Sabine's character in ASAP. I personally am really excited about the possibility of us going up Spire and kicking some ass or causing trouble. I don't know if we're combat characters other than Zordon, so maybe it's a terrible idea. It's just the reflex I have of like, oh yeah, let's go gentleman's bastards our way up, and then we'll do some like Three Musketeer-y fighty stuff with these stupid looks up names, stupid swan early worm suckers, you know.
Hilariously, the other fighter in this party is me.
That is weird.
I mean, as long as no one's looking.
You do have fight.
Yeah, I mean, just as long as they're, completely unprepared for it.
Wow, we're hosts. This is gonna be great. It's gonna be great, guys. And I think a scene with Thurza would be fun. I've gently laid out the like interest level and talking, getting to know her a little better, and it's selfish, so don't prioritize it, but it's a thing that's there. Those are my wishes.
I was trying to lean in a little to that, to give some foreshadow to that.
Yeah, I saw that. I just wanted to
right.
note it, but also say this isn't a priority for me. It's just, the last of my wishes type deal.
Yep, yeah. Jan, wishes.
I'm going to steal the wish that I would love to see some Ilfir, and specifically, I would love to see some Ilfir that's people had durances at. I'd love to see some of that history come back and hit hard. And leaning a bit on what Rich said, I think it's for me it would be fun to also have Zordon is of course a pretty simple person, but he was the duelist to an Elfir, and he he does know how to respond to a high society party. He just hasn't had the need to yet. So I'm also just looking forward to doing that. Like,
And putting Sorden in a high society party and
yes.
having him be like one
And
of the more
suddenly-
comfortable characters.
suddenly he goes like, "Ah, yes, well, very well. You know, hands behind his back." That's
Yeah, I want to see that.
Absolutely, yes. Okay, thank you. Jen, any wishes?
Goodness. I mean, I feel like I'm getting what I need out of this. But I'm going to echo some of the things other people have said, seeing some Alfir going further up Spire, kicking some ass. Definitely not leaving Goliset behind on that trip. Definitely not. And I'd love to see him running around doing his thing. I want to see how he fights.
Yeah, I think that adds a whole other way. When we talk about combat, you have plenty of combat ability because Goliset's pretty badass.
He's got a job. He's good at it. I pay him for it. I pay him good money. Otherwise, what else? I mean, clearly we need to go to a high society party of some kind.
Sounds like.
Straight up. And maybe remind me, and I'll try to brew up a reason to set up a meeting with my old Elfir boss, who probably knows about at least a little bit about my shadier exiled from the home nation's past.
Ooh, yeah.
So I feel like, he wouldn't have been allowed, or maybe she, I don't know. Doesn't seem like a particularly gendered string of words for a name. But they wouldn't be allowed to take that risk without knowing, hey, so this one got kicked out of the home nations for X bad thing. And maybe, Tyler, you and I should chat about what that was between sessions.
That's a good idea. Awesome. All right, I will take all of these into consideration. Lots of stuff to try and pack in. I look forward to having Sabine back so that we can find out what happened with Vizar. I know that Vizar was wanting to experiment with Drek, which was something I left some
Bad
space
idea,
up in here
Bears.
for. But I hope it was enjoyable. Another challenge day in Spire. Rich, I turn it back over to you, my friend.
Thank you, Tyler. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We will be back in a week to continue somewhere along the Spire with our adventures. Thanks for watching.